Okay, let's talk about this alleged leak going around. As many of you know, Emily Rogers, who is a relatively trustworthy source, leaked some details about the apparent next Fire Emblem game. They'll be on the screen, but I'll read them out anyway. It's a new game, not a remake. Intelligent Systems, Koei Tecmo, and Gust are working on it. Gust helped a lot with the visuals. Allegedly looks better than Three Houses. Originally intended as a game to celebrate Fire Emblem's 30th anniversary, it's been finished for over a year. Main character has a strange red and blue hair. His mother is a dragon. Most interestingly, the emblems gimmick allows players to summon Fire Emblem characters from the past. This is some interesting information to chew on, but then it gets better. Or worse, depending on who you ask. Around a day after this statement was made, a post on Reddit, I'll link in the description, claimed Rogers' leak was not only true, but they had screenshots to share which aligned with the leak. Most notably, having this blue/red haired dragonkin. Now comes the question. Now comes the question of how much we believe this so-called leak, and I want to dissect it a bit myself, as I'm sure plenty already have. To get the obvious thing out of the way first, this Elliowood Ninian child here is clearly the Avatar character if this leak turns out to be true. This is made obvious through this screenshot where their name is a series of W's. Though adding to that, when Rogers posted about the game, she used a male pronoun to describe this Elliowood Ninian child, while the allegedly leaked images show what appears to be a female model. Now, it could be a male with long hair, but I would sooner assume that this is simply the Avatar character who you decide the gender for. Whether or not you like Avatar characters in Fire Emblem, they don't seem to be going anywhere anytime soon, and this is plausibly the latest incarnation. So let's talk about the images. Are they real? I want to talk about some of the common criticisms I've seen and see if there's a reasonable doubt to those criticisms or if any simply couldn't be explained. So firstly, the easiest thing to see. Most people believe these images show a game that's rather poor quality, with models that appear a noticeable downgrade from the perhaps overly detailed Three Houses models. Well, this complaint is the only one the OP on Reddit addressed through an edit, where they clarified that these screenshots are allegedly quite old at this point, and no longer reflect the current state of the game and its aesthetics. This could just be an attempt to cover up, but let's just assume it's true and move on for now. A lot of people have expressed very clear distaste towards this dragonkin and their hair, which everyone has agreed is the worst thing ever. Is this a reason to doubt the images, though? I really don't think so. It's a pretty subjective complaint, and though it's a feeling shared by multiple people, that doesn't necessarily mean anything. Personally, I think it looks fine, I don't know. I think people are I think people are making a bit of a mountain out of a molehill with it. Maybe it'll look better when we can see it in better quality. Regardless, even if it was somehow objectively the most awful thing ever designed, that wouldn't make it fake. It could just be something that was designed poorly. Though again, it's really subjective. I think it looks fine. Some people joked about it looking like the colors were inspired by Joy-Cons, though really that very well may have been the intention if this is real. Moving on from that, people have pointed out that the text is in Chinese, not Japanese, which is what most would expect. This is a reasonable point, though I think it can be explained. If we assume that this game has indeed been complete for over a year, the reason it's taking so long to be released may or may not have to do with having an incredibly large amount of text, and a desire to release the game simultaneously in multiple regions. It's entirely possible that these images that have been leaked were taken from a Chinese build of the game during the translation process, and perhaps it was some kind of beta build that was sent specifically for translation, which would also explain the low quality everyone immediately noticed. I can't claim to be an expert in game development, but I think an explanation along these lines, even if it's not exactly accurate, isn't unreasonable. So these are the complaints I've seen a lot, and I think most have a reasonable doubt at least. It doesn't mean it's for sure true, obviously, but I do have another point to bring up that makes me think it could be. If we assume Rogers isn't responsible for these leaked images under a fake account, which she almost certainly isn't, the fact that these screenshots include this Ellwood-Ninian child, which seems to align perfectly with the Rogers link, is interesting. If the images were posted a long time after that leak, it might be less noteworthy. But I believe these images were posted around a day after. I don't know how long it would take to create these images if indeed they're fake, but that they seem to correlate in this way is at least worth noting, given that they were almost certainly from two different people in a very short time. So maybe it's real, maybe it isn't. We'll likely know relatively soon, given everyone swears there's definitely a Nintendo Direct this month, for sure, and for real. But let's assume it is for the sake of conversation. Let's talk about what this could mean. Rogers mentioned this emblems gimmick, which would allow you to summon past FE characters, which invariably caused people to think of FE heroes. The Reddit post downplayed this feature though, saying people were overreacting to it and implying it wasn't like FE heroes. I'd be surprised if it was like Faye. But to what extent will the summoning feature exist? Given this was allegedly a game made to celebrate the 30th anniversary, one might expect it to be relatively expansive. But if the Reddit post is to be believed, it seems like it might just be a side feature. The most obvious comparison that comes to mind is Awakening Einherjar. Yes, that's how you pronounce that, apparently. They were quite lacking in personality for the most part, but it was still novel to be able to use past characters. Is it more like that, or is it more like Fate's amiibo characters, which were fully voiced and had lines interacting with the world to an extent? Or is it going in the opposite direction, and more like the SOV amiibos, which had even less personality than the Einherjar? It's an interesting question to ponder. Personally, I think it's likely going to be more similar to FE Fates, with perhaps more emphasis given to the quote-unquote important characters, such as the Lords. If indeed there is a summoning system, perhaps the emblems are what you use to summon, though I think it goes without saying there almost certainly won't be gacha elements. At least, not the microtransaction part. Also, I played around with the scroll bar on what seems to be this support screen, and judging from this, there seems to be a bit over 40 characters in this screen specifically. 13 times 3 is 39, plus a bit of empty space left in the scroll bar, so it's probably a bit in the realm of 40 to 42 characters. Last thing to point out is the Reddit post claims a genealogy remake is going to happen, so if the game does turn out to be real, it gives a lot of credibility to that claim as well. It doesn't outright confirm it, though it's not exactly a difficult guess either. FE4 is the most logical game to remake next. So there's my somewhat full analysis on the leak. Is it real? Who knows. But I honestly lean a bit more towards the idea that it is. It's possible the long delay has been due both to translating a lot of text and COVID-related issues, and perhaps it ended up taking so long that they decided to wait until after 3 Hopes to even reveal it. Who knows? It could all just be BS. But if it does turn out to be real, I'll be very interested to see how it goes. Specifically if I can use Ephraim, because it's me and I'm predictable. Anyway, thanks for watching. Go do something productive with your life. I don't give a shit, dude. Bye.